Hey everyone, welcome to the eighth event where we have myself, Joshua Pinker, and apparently a cat. And we will be talking together about a very, very, very interesting subject, portfolios. Because no matter if you're a enthusiast, a student, someone who's been in industry for 20 years, everybody needs to have knowledge about portfolios because you always need it. If you need a new job, if you need your first job, or if you're just curious, it's a cool subject. And today we have a very cool guest. Joshua is here with us to talk about this subject. So, can you introduce yourself to this lovely room of lovely people?
Yes, thank you so much. That was an awesome introduction. Hi, everyone. I am Joshua Pinker. I am a 2D animation supervisor for Nelvana, working on a new show for Nickelodeon. And I'm just really excited to be on this panel and to talk about portfolios and tips and advice. And I feel like this talk has been done previously in the past, so I want to try really hard to make this talk a lot different than other talks and give you more insight onto just changing the mindset on what a portfolio should be and how I've gotten my portfolio to work for me in my career.
Very, very cool. Thank you so much. And I forgot to introduce myself in case people don't know me. They probably
Yes,
don't.
please.
My name is Marie-Ève Lacelle, but I go by Mel because it's easier in every other language than French. I'm a senior solution specialist at Toon, and sometimes I also make videos on YouTube. And yeah, I'm very happy to do this little talk with
Yeah.
everyone. If you have any
I'm a big
questions,
fan of your videos, so I'm really happy for you to be doing this interview with me. You're awesome.
thank you. Um, Oh, yeah, I was almost forgetting. If you guys have any questions, you can always ask them in the chat, and we will try to answer them as we go. But we will definitely have a little space for questions after we're done with our existing points. So if your question is not answered right away, it's not that we're ignoring you guys. It's just that we're trying to keep it smooth and into the conversation. So, without further ado, we should get started.
Yeah.
Um, so, oops. My first question that I have for you today is, um, yeah, okay. Did the way you think about portfolio change throughout your career?
Yes, it did a lot because at first I thought it was just about showing your work, and I didn't realize that it was about um, showing more like what you want to be hired for and looking professional as opposed to just like, I'm an artist, here's everything that I've done. So it kind of changed a lot with the mentality for sure. And I want to make sure we're on the right page. So everything in red, we're actually not doing. So if you go to the bottom of the document, the purple at the bottom, there we
Yeah, I
go.
got
Okay.
it. Sorry, my
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
bad.
No, it's totally fine. Yeah, let's keep going.
Okay, okay. So is an artist because in the point you just said, which is very, very important, is when you have a portfolio, it's supposed to be about what you would like to work in and like be hired for. So I think the next couple of points will be very interesting that in that idea. So um, is an artist's portfolio supposed to be just about showing off their work or
Yeah.
not?
Yeah, great question. So recently I've been doing portfolio reviews with people. They've been able to sign up with me, and I've been seeing a lot of portfolios. Um, so a lot of people think I'm an artist and I've done character design, storyboards, animation, and it's like they're just doing everything, because they're an artist and they want to know the whole production pipeline, and that's what they learn in school.
Which is
So
very important.
it's very important, and it's very important to know everything. And then when it comes to their portfolio, they kind of just blast everything they've ever done all over the website. And I personally feel like that your portfolio website should not be, here's everything I've created. It should be more of like, this is what I am most talented at, and this is what I want to move forward in a career. But if you are doing other things and other aspects, like let's say it's like, I want to be an animator, but you also do some storyboarding or you do some character rigging on the side. Storyboarding, character rigging, those two skills and those knowledge are very different than the skills and knowledge known for animation. So you can keep doing that stuff and share that on like LinkedIn, share like your rigs and your storyboards on like Instagram and stuff like that. But I personally would suggest, if you like, I want to be an animator, then just making your portfolio shining on just your animation skills and keeping those other things to other social media platforms.
And also, one thing that people often forget is that I think they're um, kind of stuck into an older way of thinking where, back in the days, you had a portfolio. It was an object that you had to carry and
Yeah, yeah,
show
yeah.
people.
Just a
So
giant
you
black
had,
binder, pull it
yeah, I
out.
have mine right there.
Yeah,
So, like, it was an object. So you had a portfolio, but
yeah.
nothing stops you in 2022 from having 2023 actually, from
23, yeah.
having multiple portfolios. Maybe you have one if you want to, because everybody wants to be character designers,
Yeah,
but getting a first gig as a character designer is pretty hard. It's not as easy as other jobs. Like, it's not
yeah,
always an entry level job. So nothing stops you from having a portfolio for what you want to, like a job that you could get right off from school, for example, and then another one that you're building as you go, because the more you animate, the more experience you're going to get from other departments. So nothing stops you from having two
yeah,
portfolio.
yeah,
Who
yeah.
knows? um, Speaking of a little misconception or things that people might not know, what are some common mistakes that you see in portfolio that would lower the presentation of their work?
Yeah, great question. So like I said, I've been recently looking at a lot of people's portfolios and giving them tips and advice. And I think for someone just starting out, or just starting out, or even with experience, some of the common mistakes are the layout of the website of the portfolio, like maybe like the order of things or how I click on something and how it takes me somewhere. Like sometimes the site can be a little
Like,
too
it has to be
confusing.
effortless because people are not going to
Yeah,
spend 5 minutes trying to understand your labyrinth or your
yeah.
quest.
Or yeah, it's like things are hidden, or it's like this is one project and then it goes into a whole separate page. And so it's like things all over the place. The way the work is presented, sometimes people just kind of copy paste and they just paste things in, and there's no flow to the website. It just looks like, here's my stuff, and it's just like blah, like right on the page. Like have like a template, have like a nice flow to it, make the presentation really good. I always joke like, if I have a napkin and I draw a stick figure on the napkin, no one cares about my stick figure drawing. But if I put that stick figure, which is on a napkin, in a gold frame, and I put that gold frame on the wall of a gallery, whoa, everyone's going crazy. They're like, what is that? Because it's a gold frame, it's in the gallery, it must be like worth $10,000, because it's just like, that's how it goes. So think of your website is your gold frame. You want the presentation to be really nice. You want it to shine. You can have amazing work, but if it's just copy pasted in and just like on the page with no context, it lowers the quality of it. Another thing is just like dead space or like really dark. Like I'll go onto a website and it's just all black background and it's just a lot of empty space, and then the work is just kind of like centered right in the middle. Really make your website be like a representation of who you are. Like when I come to your portfolio, I want to feel like I'm in your world, like I'm in your imagination and I'm stepping into your private art gallery and showing me everything and making sure you're just using up the entire computer screen of the site and just making the background, working with the text, working with the artwork, just making everything flow. And then it's like when I see that, it speaks a lot on who you are as an artist and how you present yourself. So you can have like really no experience, but then just because you have really great design skills and you're presenting yourself really well, it just ups your value. That it's really that easy.
And also when you say that you like to see like the it's kind of it is almost like a brand. Like you have to kind of brand yourself. So and
Exactly.
and
I
one
love
super
that you said
important
that.
thing if you want people to see your portfolio is you need to be reachable. So if you're someone who's on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and all these social thingies, um, the thing with like a with the circle around it,
Hmm.
keep that consistent. Like
Yeah,
keep the same name all over the place because if someone sees your name on something, they want to Google it or they want to find it, maybe they don't have Twitter, maybe they just have Instagram. If you have five different names on five different platforms, no one's going to find you. I'm sorry.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yep, that's very important.
That's a great point.
um and speaking of these socials, can a blog site like ArtStation or Carbon Made and all that, can that be used as a portfolio?
So as it's meant to be a portfolio site and it's meant to be shared amongst artists, but for those types of things it's important to know the difference between like this is a blog and this is a portfolio, and we want to make sure that like blogs is just like there's no like pages and stuff, it's just throwing stuff and it's just like creating a feed or just creating tiles across the screen. So you can still have things like ArtStation and building, your kind of art community by sharing your things. When it comes to your portfolio, I think it's really important to have your own website and have things that are clear, has the flow, and you're using that when you're applying for jobs or you're trying to get clients to hire you for freelance. You can have both, but I think understanding the differences and how to separate it is really important.
I think in in my personal experience, I think it also depends on where you are in your career. Because when I
Yeah,
was starting out, like fresh out of school, I had a pretty website, like very good portfolio, and yes, it landed me jobs. But after a while, you get more jobs from the jobs you had, like from maybe knowing people, like your
yeah,
network is so important. So, not gonna lie, as years go by, like the website, and the portfolio, like it's not that much of a deal. And now it's more about the online portfolio, the easy to maintain, like ArtStation and all these social blogs, where I try to keep it neat. And now this is what carries me. But yeah, so the point you're making about them being like the two distinct thing is really important, because like a portfolio is a portfolio and your Instagram is something else. Both are
yeah.
great, but for different things.
I had someone apply for because I was hiring and I had someone apply and they just gave me their art station and they were like, I want to be an animator. I couldn't find their animation reel in their art station thing because
Yeah.
it was just a text. So I was like, I don't know what's old work. I don't know what's your best work. It's like it's not prominent and right in my face. Whereas someone else that sends me their website, it's just like, here's my animation reel on the home screen, and my best of my best work is right at the top, kind of thing. So it's easier to maintain and it's just clear. So I think, again, nothing wrong with having an art station, but when it comes to certain scenarios, it doesn't work out as easily to understand.
Like a portfolio is more active. It's like I'm going for a job and this is what I am. And I
Yeah,
think the art station and the other ones are more like passive, like they're there. If someone wanders into it, that's good. But yeah, very, very interesting point. Thank you.
thank you.
Um, and again, speaking of animation, since we were talking, because if you're in illustration, it's easier sometimes to just have like an Instagram or like a art station. But
Yeah,
for animation, it's a bit more specific. So, how can an animator specifically grow their portfolio easily and efficiently?
yeah. I think so. When I graduated school, my portfolio was crap. Like I was just like, it is what it is, and I know that my skills are can't like just grow overnight. So what I did was instead of thinking like, okay, this is my animation portfolio, I don't have time to just come up with a short film of animation, just animate a whole, like 5 minute film and then add that to my portfolio. So what I did was I would go online and I would find tutorials, well, that's the thing. Like back in the day, like I graduated 2014, which feels like forever ago. There weren't um free rigs online. There wasn't ZBird Brain videos out there. There wasn't anything out there. So
That's why I made my YouTube
I
because
know
when I was younger, I had nothing. There
there's
was like onion
nothing.
skin, and that's it.
Yeah. So I feel like today it's so easy for you to say, I'm an animator and I want to build an animation portfolio. You can go on Gumroad, download rigs from other artists, and it's like, boom, now you have an industry standard Harmony rig, puppet rig. And now you can use that and you can go on Toon Boom's website onto their portal, their education portal, and they have like, this is the key pass, this is the animation pass, and it's like picking up a prop. And then if you fill up your portfolio with like 5 videos of like a character picking up a prop, or like, this is my walk cycle, this is my run cycle, and you just show me a whole bunch of tutorials that are really good, and it shows me you understand the program, you understand the rigs, and you understand all the foundation. I rather have that than someone with like, these are 5 films that I did, and it's like the quality's low because they got burnt out on all of them, and it's just like all over the place. If you just give me a whole bunch of videos where it's just practice, and it's like really good, well done, and it shows you took the time to understand each of the small tasks that were needed, that's all you need. So it's really easy these days to grow your portfolio, and it's not like, oh, I want to do animation, but I can't think of a character to draw. It's like, download the rig. You don't even have to spend time rigging it. It's already done for you. So you can
It is
you can
important
skip
to know how to
over.
rig, though, at least
It
at a
is,
basic level.
but to quickly, I'm talking like for quickly, just getting right to the animation and just doing that stuff, and then exporting a quick time, putting it on your site. It's really easy to just build it without having the experience, because that was the thing. It's like, oh, you're just starting out, but like, do you have experience with like more robust rigs? And it's like a lot of people didn't, and now today it's so easy to get that experience without getting hired by a studio. You can get that experience before that.
And on the same subject of like the free rigs and the animation and stuff, and one advice I could give also that I experienced looking to
Hmm.
hire people in studio and stuff, when I was looking at portfolio with my team, uh, key points that we were looking for were often like, do you know how to make a prop interaction? Because if you animate a rig and the character is holding something, it proves to us that you know how to open a rig, take a prop, connect it to a hand, and that you'll be able to do it. So
Yeah.
prop holding, um, two people interaction. This is like the godsend of all things, because oftentimes animating a character is easy. Animating two characters together is usually a nightmare. So if you can prove you can do that, that's usually more bonus points if you want to grow your animation portfolio. Little advices like that. And yeah. Um, and how can an artist look professional without having actual experience? I'm a professional at that, but I cannot wait to hear what you have to say.
uh,
My whole beginning career was based on looking professional with having zero experience.
that's
So
amazing.
yeah.
I think you kind of mentioned it before, building your brand. I think that's really important. Um, and that's another thing where I want to try to change people's mindset on what is a portfolio. So one thing everyone should know is once you are like you're an artist, you're a professional working and you have a unique set of skills that you have to offer. So you shouldn't think of yourself as I'm just an artist and I need work. You're basically a self-employed professional artist, and your website is almost like this is your company, this is your brand. So when people come to your website, they shouldn't just see it as I'm just an artist and here's my stuff that I'm sharing. It should be more like this is what I can do for you. If you want to work with me, here's my info. So it's almost like the call to actions as like this is what I these are the skills I have to offer and this is when I'm available. And if you want to get a quote from me on how much this is, like contact me below. So really tweaking the website to look more like this is your, you know, your shop. This is your go-to business for people to hire you. I think that's a really key thing to think about. And that's something that I've been toying around with and it's been working for me. And again, the brand, you know, like having your logo, having your name and labeling the site, and then having that match to all the different social medias that you have. Even something I've done is having feedback, like in recommendations, like every job that I do, I would ask like, hey, on LinkedIn, can you give me feedback on like the performance I did as an artist on the job? And it'll be like a supervisor, director, they'll leave it. I'll get that. I'll put that on my site. Because if you think about like going to gonna if you're looking for a business or something on like Google, and then on the site it's like Google reviews, you're like, okay, I want to go here, or it's like I want to buy this product, or I want to hire this person. But what do other people say? Like, did other people enjoy working with this person, or is like, is the quality high? So I'll include the reviews. So now it's like you're seeing that I'm a talented artist, and you're seeing customer feedback on my services that I provided for them, and I'm incorporating all that into my site, and that's how I look not just an artist, but a professional that is available for hire to come on to the project. And having that feedback is really important. So that's kind of my take on it, if that makes sense. Oh, can't hear you.
I'm here now.
Yeah, there we go.
I was just saying that thank you. These are very very good points, and in a similar vibe as like the feedback, another advice I got from like portfolios and all that is more for students is when you graduate, when you are graduating. Yeah, that's how you say it. Sorry, English, not my first language. um so when you graduate, there is a few things that can set your portfolio miles apart from other students, especially from the same school, is if people graduate all at the same times and the only thing they have in their portfolio is all of the same work, all the same exercise, one after the other, you kind
From like
of
the
fall
same
into the
classes.
masses, which is not a big problem because I know that school is very hard for some already. So doing extra work is not that possible. But one thing that really helped me out and my friends in school was that, like in school, I was not the best student at all in terms of like grades, animation grades and
Me
stuff.
neither.
Yeah, right. It was fine. Um, but that was often because for my assignment, I would do the assignment well, get an okay grade, and then move on, instead of always aiming for 200% of a grade, because you know what, they're just grades, right? When you leave school, no one's going to remember your grades, even your teachers.
Yeah.
But in your portfolio, if you can include other things than your schoolwork, this oftentimes sets you miles apart from everyone else, because then instead of having all the same exercise, maybe you took a weekend to do an animation with your friends, like these 48 hours animation contest, or just a small gig you did for fun. Don't be afraid to include these, even if it's fine art, even if it's not like studio work, like if it's something you made. It just proves to the person who wants to hire you that you actually enjoy doing what you do, because and you're not afraid to explore new things. So that's my little 2 cents on the feedback, because if you do group project as well, you can get feedback from who worked with you, and testimonies and stuff, and proves that you're a team player. So
Yeah,
yeah.
that's great points.
Thank you. um okay. I just want to make sure I don't forget any of these questions. Okay,
Yeah.
so um you mentioned earlier that you recently started doing one-on-one portfolio reviews. Can you talk a little bit about these small amazing workshops?
Yeah, so backing up a little bit, a few years ago, I released my own self-published book that I wrote titled Your Animated Journey. And the book is all the tips and advice for the professional side of things on how to get into the animation industry. And this is for any position: 3D, 2D, storyboards, character design. It's all about like how to network, how to build your portfolio, freelance, things like that. Every chapter is kind of broken up. So I wrote the book Your Animated Journey, and turn that the title kind of into a brand. I have the website, and I've been doing a lot of talks at schools, and every time I do a talk, I would like put the recording on the site. So I started wanting to make the site into like a go-to portal for education around animation. So recently I put onto the site um, a portal to do portfolio reviews. So I kind of have like a calendar on there, and you can find the days that I'm available and then like book time slots with me. I'm doing like, I only need 30 minutes. And I've been doing where like you sign up with me, and then you click the day, you click the time, and I'll get your portfolio. I will, before we meet, I'll go through the entire site, and then I will write down all my tips, my advice, and I also will go and find other third party resources. And then I just fill up a whole Word document for you of just everything I would change on the site, and links to further your education and more tutorials that you can follow, or examples from other artists and their portfolios and how they look, just as more reference. And it's been amazing. Like I've been meeting with people in Germany and Ireland and California and New York. Like it's been really cool getting to meet either really talented people who like still just want critiques, or people just starting out, and they're all over the world. And these are people I would never meet, and they're super awesome people to meet, and seeing their work and just giving advice to kind of help them get one step closer to their career goal. So that's been something really awesome. So if anyone's interested in getting your portfolio reviewed by me, just go to youranimatedjourney.com and just go to portfolio reviews, and I'd be happy to keep the conversation going with you. Oh, I can't hear you. Still can't hear you.
I was
There we
saying I
go.
was also thank you for these points, and I'm also answering questions in the chat at the same time, and it's really interesting. We've got so many of them. Can't wait to ask them to you.
Yeah, we're making good time. I think we'll have time at the end. We're doing really good.
So efficient. I love this. Um, can you share a little bit about your site and portfolio?
Yeah, so I feel like everyone's probably sick of looking at my pretty face, so we're just gonna show a little bit
Yeah, I'm gonna
of my
hide as
website.
well. So there's, I think, if we both hide, there's gonna be more room for your screen. So
Okay, let me
I
do
will
this.
go.
Let me share this. Let me turn my camera on. Okay, can you see it? It's looking good.
I mean, we can, but we're gonna see if the chat can hear. You can see it. Chat, can you see the screen share, please? We
Can
need
you
one volunteer
see?
to let us know. Okay,
Yep,
they can
yep.
see
Okay,
it.
okay. Okay. So this is my current animation portfolio. So one thing that I think is really, really important when it comes to an animation portfolio, you want to answer all the questions before they're asked. So right away, who is this person? Joshua Pinker. What kind of portfolio is this? It's an animation portfolio. So for me, when I say this is an animation portfolio, I personally, I'm not going to show you rigs. I'm not going to show you storyboards. I'm not going to show you character design. I'm a 2D animator. I'm just going to show you my animation, and that's what I want to be hired for. And then the next question is, okay, this is Josh Pinker, and this is his animation portfolio. Does he have experience? Is he right out of school? Does he have a lot of years of experience in the industry? Right away, you can see all of the logos of some of the top shows that I've worked on. So right away, you're seeing, oh, he worked on Teen Titans, Unikitty, Wildcrats, Muppet Babies, DC Superhero Girls. Okay, yeah, he has experience because he worked on all these shows. So again, answering all the questions and making things as simple as possible. And then we scroll down and we have my animation reel right at the front. Notice again, brand. So I kind of made a 2D illustration of myself. I have this on my Instagram, my LinkedIn, my business card, everywhere I go. This is my brand. So it's like this is my business. This is my art business. So I have it there. I got it on my reel, and then I have the reel to play my top stuff. I have my email just right at the top, just so it's really quickly for people to just copy and paste in their Gmail or Yahoo or whatever to get in touch with me easily. And then, and again, we're always going to have empty space, but notice how I kind of pick something neutral, like I just have sky with clouds, but it still adds to the tone of the site, and it's still adding to keeping the empty space still visually appealing, as opposed to just having a blank white screen, a blank black screen. And then if we click on the animation tab, now we're at all of my animations that I've done for previous shows. Notice how it's just going from screen to screen and it's just filling the page, because I want you to just like dive in, because this is basically my whole career right in front of you. And I picked really hard to like make sure the thumbnails of the videos are like really appealing, so it makes you want to click on it and it makes you want to watch and see like, oh, what's this about, and grouping the projects together. So I got like Daniel Tiger together, got Wildcrats up here, Corner Gas animated. So just filling the page and just having everything just visually appealing, and it's like it's right here, easy to view, easy to watch, and you can just click it, Daniel Tiger reel number 2, and you can watch it right here, or you can full screen it, or you can just go to Vimeo, watch it on there. So again, just making everything as easy as possible, and it's just all together. Feedback. This is what I was talking about. So plain and easy, I just, people at Oddbot, people at Portfolio Entertainment, Renegade, Cartoona, I just asked like, hey, can you give me some feedback? Josh was a pleasure to work with, super talented, pleasure to work with, standout artist. And it's just like, this just reassures like, okay, he worked on all this amazing stuff, but how is he on a personal level to work with? And this kind of answers that question right away. So they're going to say, okay, he's really talented in his animation, and so many people enjoyed working with him. I want to get an interview with him, and I want to know more about him and see if he would be a good fit for our project. For the more info, I really like it when I see an artist's work, but then also seeing like, okay, but who is this person? Like I need to put the face to the name. So I love seeing people's like actual photos. So here's a photo of me. This was actually at the Disney Immersive Experience in Toronto. If anyone can go to that, please go. It's amazing. So this was a Disney art station set up there. About the artist, just give a little bit personal information about me, like what I've been up to, where I'm located, just so they get a little bit more of a reveal of who I am as opposed to just the artwork. Resume, I have it just like a button, just click the PDF and it'll load up. And then I have the email here, but I have it linked up. So, and again, want to hire me or just chat about cartoons, contact me below. So this is what I was talking about, like having things like the call to action, like, did you enjoy everything? You want to work with me on your next project? Contact me below, because your portfolio, yes, you're using your portfolio to send to animation studios to then be able to apply for them, but you also want your site set up so if clients come to your site without you knowing, it's showing that, hey, I'm available for freelance. Like, I didn't contact you. So if you want to contact me and tell me about your project that I didn't apply for, this is how you do it. So you're kind of drawing them in to your site to get business. And that's something that's really important. And at the bottom here, this is a talk I did with Toon Boom talking about my book, Your Animated Journey. So I just threw in this video so they can see more video of me talking and talking about my career and talking about my book. And of course, having the social media links, I have my Instagram, LinkedIn, IMDb, just to show like what seasons I worked on and other shows that I might not have listed. LinkedIn, just connecting, networking, and the Instagram, just another social media. So this website is like version 75. Like I've worked on this portfolio so much, but I haven't changed it from this in quite a while. This is like since 2018. This has been pretty much my website, and I've worked for 2018. I moved to Toronto for the first time, and I've probably worked for like six animation studios already just off of this template, this layout, this information, and presenting myself on through these tips and tricks. So yeah, this is what I've been doing. So I really hope this kind of, I know we've been like talking about stuff, so I hope seeing this visualization and how I put everything I talked about in this panel is clear with this presentation. So I'm gonna stop screen sharing and turn my camera back on. So I'm back.
Yeah, that was really, really clear, really helpful. Um, and as I was saying in the chat, um, um, the part where you show all the logo of the companies and the shows and stuff, that's really cool. And one way also you can do it, like for example, on my my career has been carried by demo reels more than website very often, and the way to include that in a demo reel is nothing stops you from putting the logos like one after the other
Yeah,
uh, into the demo reel. That's also very very interesting. I've seen it done a couple times, and it's amazing because then if you put it on your website, if you have your demo reels and your website, then you have twice the exposure of all these cool shows
yeah.
and logos and stuff you worked on. So
That's the thing.
very
It's
very
like
good tip.
I'm really happy to share with everyone like what my mindset has been around portfolios, what has worked for me, and what has gotten me to the point I am in my career. That doesn't mean that all of this is going to work for everyone watching this. If it does, amazing and I'm so happy, but there might be things that can be different that still work for you in a positive way. So take everything, as just feedback and just to keep it in your thoughts.
And yeah, and that's so great because a lot of the points you were talking about before, like I said, like they work well with, like they can kind of combine. So like you were talking about like the logos, or like about the feedback and stuff, and this is something you can include into other media, like the
Yeah.
demo reel or like your blog and something. So it's so cool to see that even though you have different mediums of like using for your portfolio, these tips still remains, like they're still very very good and useful. So really hope it's helpful for you guys.
Yeah.
Um.
Yeah, I
Oh,
feel
I
like
mean,
I kind of answered the last question. Like, where can
yeah, but it's
viewers
good.
find your portfolio? So, yeah. So, my portfolio is pinkerart.com. My book website, youranimatedjourney.com. On Instagram, at that kid pinker, all together. Yeah, I just find me on LinkedIn. I love connecting with everyone in the industry. I love my door's always open and I have no filter. Like I had someone the other day like, "Hey, I'm in Australia and I want to move to Canada. Like, what are the salaries?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'll tell you right now how much I got
But this
paid on my
is so
last two jobs."
important. The salaries should stop being a big taboo because this is
Yeah.
hurting everyone.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
So I was like, I'm an open book, no pun intended, because I wrote a book. But I'm very happy to help anyone that is struggling getting the answers, because I know it's not always that easy to find the answers that you're looking for. So anyone
because
that can
often
help,
when it comes to
yeah,
like the salary and stuff, oftentimes I've heard that, and maybe
yeah.
it's true. It might be true in other field. I don't know. But like I often hear like, don't talk about your salary because this is how you keep your salary high. I'm like, no, not talking about our salaries is how we keep everybody else's salaries very low, including
Yeah.
yourself.
It's
So
kind of the thing. It's like
yeah,
I might not feel comfortable telling you how much I have like in my wallet right now, but
yeah, no, that's not the
for
same.
like the four animation studios that I worked for in Toronto area, it was the same salary for all the same positions. So it's like, how is this a mystery? Like I'm happy to share and give some insight. All right, we kind of I mean, we're at 2:40, which is great time. We kind of went through pretty much everything I really wanted to go over and talk about,
Yeah,
and
I was gonna ask if you have any
yeah,
more points. Otherwise, we're just gonna go check out the cool questions or just chit chat
yeah.
together. So.
No, I would love to go through the questions that we have. I don't know if you want to like go through and pick out some and
I spotted a few.
yeah,
Uh,
if you want to, if I know you were answering some, but if there's any that you want to
yeah.
pick out for me to
And by the way,
ask.
people, all your questions are really good. It's just that we're limited in time, so I'm gonna try to select the ones that are gonna help more than just
Yeah.
one person.
And if we can't answer it in this, like you got our contact, find us online and continue asking the questions.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, so there was this one that says, um, oh wait, I lost it. Okay, yeah, it was for people who are doing animation. They wanted to know, do you have capital HAVE to know how to rig? And should I include example of that in my portfolio or reel? From what I think, it is important to know rigging, not as a rigger, but like very like basic rigging is very important. Do you need to include it in your animation reel? You can maybe put it at the end if you trust in your skills as a, but like, do you want to get hired as a rigger? If the answer is yes, make a rigging portfolio. And if the answer
Yeah.
is no, well, make an animation reel, not a rigging reel.
If
Your rigging knowledge will show up if you use like props and interaction and stuff. Like there's other ways to show it.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like if you're animating a 2D puppet rig, then that shows you understand rigging. And if it's like, a character picking up a prop, that shows that you knew how to, in the node view, put that cup into the hand and tie together. I I understand how to like, okay, like I drew this and I just need to add a deformer to it, or it's like I need to break this up. It's like little things. I don't know how to do like master controllers, but I don't know how to create master controllers, but I know how to animate master controllers. So sometimes as a supervisor, we'll have a new character and then it's like I'm testing it out and it's like I have no idea how to build it, but I know it's not working properly. So then I'll go to the riggers and be like, "Hey guys,
Right?
there's a little glitch here. I don't know what magic you're doing, but I know it's not working for animation. How can we fix it to work like this?" So you don't have to show it, but it kind of shows on its own in your animations.
My I think my ultimate advice for this is something very crafty and very cool that I've been seeing more and more is if you make an animation reel or a rigging reel or whatever, like a
Yeah,
video, nothing stops you from screen recording yourself animating. And if you want to do like, okay, well, this is one scene, and then for a couple of seconds you just show your maybe your screen like of you connecting the prop in the node view so you know that you
yeah,
can open a node view without having an anxiety attack.
yeah. And
And
that kind of goes back to like how to build your portfolio quickly. Like if you're a rigger, have one video of you doing the rigging and then have another video where you're like showing
how
like
it moves.
how the rig moves and things like that. So it's like same thing with like 3D artists. It's like show the modeling and then show the rigging and then show the animation and then show the animation from different angles, and then it's just like you're just building content around one character, but it just shows everything that you understand how to do. So it's really easy if you just kind of take a step back and think about all the work that you did and how you can just show that process to just build out a whole page.
Yeah, and when it comes to rigging, don't fall into the trap of just showing a picture of the rig because as a rigging person, as a person who hires riggers, well, yeah, I do hire riggers even today. Just you showing me the picture of the rig gives me no information. I will not hire you based on the picture of your rig.
Yeah,
I will hire you, however, on how your node view looks,
yeah,
how your rig moves, and even if it's just a turnaround, it tells me nothing.
yeah,
Like it, like we need to see the rig in action. So either you use a bit of your skills to animate it, or you get someone to animate your rig. And there's nothing that validates a rigger more, like the proficiency of a rigger more than someone else animating their rig because
yeah.
that's what you're gonna do.
It's almost the
So yeah.
same like when you go on Gumroad and the artists have their rigs available and you could just
Yeah, what do
donate
you want
money.
to see?
They actually they present it so clearly where it's like here's what the character looks like, and then the next it's like here's the node view, and then it's like if you can show that on your site the same way that those artists are explaining the rig to you so that it makes you want to give a donation and download it, it's like right there, just use that as like a template and a reference.
Yep. And we have another good question.
Yeah.
It's someone who says that, and I'm glad they asked the question because I wanted us to talk about that. Back in college, we were told to always have a web ready resume, like hyperlinks, work and stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah, because we talked about portfolio, a little bit about reels, but we didn't talk about resumes. And as artists, I think people always forget that these exist and they're very important because a lot of people that are going to hire you, they're not animation people, they're like HR people that are just like maybe headhunting and like looking for spots to fill in their studio.
Should I
And
share my
sometimes,
resume? I could share
yeah,
my
that would be
resume.
fun. I can share mine as well.
Uh,
I mean, mine is up out of date, but
can you see mine?
um oh yeah, I see it now.
Yeah,
Perfect.
so I have my name right at the top, 2D animation artist, and then portfolio. I think I type it out. So then I kind of do it where it's not like HTML and then it's just like, like a whole bunch of like gibberish. Like it's still www dot, like it's still the website. But then if you're on the PDF, you can click it and then it'll take you to the website. So it's the
That is
hyper
good.
web. But if I print it out, it's still legible that it's like, okay, I can look at the paper and go www dot. And so I saw one person, they had it and it was just like a blue hyperlink, but it was just like at a like
That's no
percent
good.
sign. And it was
No
just like, if
good.
you print this out, how are they going to be able to do it?
And the printing
Programs and
this out is
skills.
very important because when you said that you need to have your brand and your personality in your website, this is true up to your resume. The
Yeah,
resume,
for
keep
sure.
it simple and keep it pale. Because if you
Yeah.
have a resume that is like dark or crimson, and like studios are gonna need to print that. They don't want to waste all their toner on your resume. So
Yeah, I
keep them good
remember
to
I was
print.
working at I was working at a studio and we went to the Taffy job fair and we had like this stack of resumes and then I was with the recruiters and I was looking and there was all these resumes with like the pie chart and it's like character design, rigging, and it was like a pie chart of like percentage of like what they know how to do and I was like, do you like this? Is this helpful? And they're like, no, like I can't scan this into the system. Like we have to now, like it doesn't, like they do all these boxes and stuff for like percent bars of like how well they do. So yeah, work experience, I just put the title of, like the title of my position, the studio, location, date, and then I'll just put in what the show was. That's all I do. And then because I've worked for so many places, at the bottom I just put, because I was like, I don't know what to do. I can't have like 2, 3 pages of a resume and every position is 2D animator or something like that. So it's all relevant. So I just put like experience prior to 2018 can be found through my LinkedIn profile. So I have from 2018 to today because it's like supervisor, lead. So it's the more relevant. But I've worked for like 5 other animation studios like before 2018 as a senior animator or 2D animator. So I just like, you can just find that on LinkedIn, that other information to just keep it the most recent, and kind of what's more important. But yeah, this is, and I don't really, I'm just like animator, worked on this show. I don't really go into every day I had quota and I did it's just like, this is the show. I hope you know it, and I was an animator on it. So yeah, it's kind of the thing when you first start out, you just add a lot of fluff to
Because you have to. You have
you
nothing
have
else.
to, yeah. But once you start getting more and more experience, just condensing, and just short and simple, right to the point.
And we had a question also about like for students specifically that don't have any experience, how do you pretend you have? And one amazing advice I got is when you're starting out and you don't have 5 years of work experience to put in your
Yeah,
resume,
yeah.
um, the biggest advice I have for this is um, animation and any job. That's true for any job. It's skill based. So instead of making a portfolio with 5 years of animation work, you can be like, I did this, and then you put a little explainer of what skills this pushes. Like when I when I was out of animation school, my only work experience was being a counselor in a summer camp for like 10 years because I love that. I still do it today.
That's
Um,
awesome.
yeah, I take vacations and I go work. Um, but then I didn't just put hi. I was a counselor in the summer camp for since 2010. Like no, like what I did is like I was a camp counselor, and this is the skills that it gave me. So team management, talking in public, storytelling. Like if you worked as a waiter in a restaurant, you can be work under pressure.
Yeah.
Teamwork and stuff. So all these skills are
Yeah,
so important because
communication.
they're going to make a difference between someone who only has like the schoolwork and someone who also has life experience. And it's interesting.
Yeah. And I think it's so good that you said life experience because I'll see an amazing portfolio, I'll see a strong resume, but when I have the interview with the person, I'm like, okay, your portfolio got my attention. I liked your resume, but now I want to know about you outside of art. Like I want to know, what are your hobbies, like who are you as a person? And knowing that information and learning that about the person, it makes me want to hire them more based on that, because it's like I'm going to be working with this person for a year. Like half a year. So I want to make sure that the person I'm working with is also not just talented, but just all around just a cool person.
Yeah. And also for interviews, one important thing is because I know a lot of people are stressed with interviews. I have the amazing talent of not knowing when I'm being in an interview, so I didn't have that problem. They're like, "Oh yeah, nice interview." It's like, "Oh what? That was an interview." I'm very clueless in general. Okay,
Yeah.
but if you are very stressed about interviews, one of my biggest advice that I can give is, if someone asks you a question, you can answer it and then answer with another question. So if someone asks like, "What are your hobbies?" you can be like, "Oh well, I like to sail and I like to do painting." And then you can be like, is there other painters at the studio or something?" Like, open it up, and it just makes it less stressful because then it's an open conversation instead of being you having an interrogation and being stressed about answering and stuff. So that can be an advice I gave to people. It helped them. If it helps
Yeah.
you, that's good.
It's no, I completely agree because it's also like it shows your value also. Like I remember I was at a an open house for a studio and they were just like, showing the studio and everything. And there was everyone's like, does anyone have any questions? And one girl raised her hand and she's like, why should I work at this studio? And I was like, everyone like started applauding because here's everyone like, I hope I get hired. Like, I hope I'm good enough. But here's this one girl, like, I want you to tell me why I should consider your studio and what is it in it for me if I do get hired. And I love that. Like, showing that you appreciate yourself and your value. And yes, you need the job, you need the opportunity, but also seeing how valued you will be
Remember,
to
a
the
studio
client.
needs you more
Yeah.
than you need them.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's true. They cannot make a show if they don't have anyone to make the show.
I
So,
think I see we
yeah.
got like 3 minutes left. Can we squeeze in like maybe one or two more?
Yeah, yeah. Um, I mean, all the questions look a lot alike. Um, Maybe we can have a small advice for, because we were talking about interviews, so maybe you have maybe small advice for interviews.
I think it's really important to know a lot about the studio that you're interviewing for, like what shows they've worked on before, so you can be
Oh
like, "Oh,
yeah.
I like these shows that you've done before. Like I animate kind of like that style kind of thing." And knowing like just using LinkedIn to know like who works there and things like that so you can like name drop and stuff like, oh my, can I meet with this person because I've been connected with them, and just showing your knowledge about the studio. And I feel like if you're nervous, it's completely fine. It's one of those things where like you're gonna have so many interviews because you're just gonna be jumping jobs that it just gets easier
It's a
with
skill.
time.
It's a
It's
learning skill.
yeah, it's just gonna get easier as you go. So don't think like, oh, I'm so nervous, I'm gonna be nervous in interviews forever. It just gets easier as time goes, and they get shorter and shorter. A lot
That
of
is
times
so important.
I've had so many times, I've literally had 3 or 4 times, I swear. They were like, "Hi, thank you for applying. We would like to schedule you for an interview." I get on the video call or I go in person, and they're like, "Hey, Josh, this is just for us to make sure you're not like a serial killer. Like this is just to make sure you're not a psychopath. We just want to make sure you're cool, and we just like we love your stuff. We want to hire you. This is just making sure you're a real person and you're just you're someone that we want to work with."
I think to push on that, my final advice for this like portfolio thing about interviews is that, remember, artists, your first drawing probably looked ugly.
Yeah.
Your drawings now are probably less ugly. Going in interviews and talking in public and in like social interaction, it is a skill. You're not born a public talking person.
Yeah.
Um, like what I'm doing now, like if I've done that like 20 years ago, I would have been super stressed, but I'm not today because I've been doing this forever. But it's a skill. So if you're very anxious in social interaction. You go to a restaurant, you can't even order your food because you're too anxious. Keep practicing. It is a
Yeah.
skill. And interviews, you're gonna mess up some interviews. You will. It's okay. Like we all do it. But it's all a learning experience. And yeah, I want to thank everyone for coming to this very cool talk.
Yay! We did it.
And yeah, because I think in a few seconds it's gonna kick us out. So I hope you guys all enjoyed, and don't forget to go check out Joshua on his website. And you can always talk, you can always write. I'm pretty sure everybody's here is happy to help if you have any questions. And
And check
yeah,
out Mel's videos. They're awesome.
thank you. And yeah, thank you everyone for your time, and we really hope that you enjoyed this talk. I'm gonna try to go and grab some of the questions, and maybe we can make like a little document later to answer them. I don't know what we're gonna do with them, but they're here and they're not lost. We can always check them out.
Yeah.
And
All right.
goodbye, people.
Goodbye.